Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the GNU C-Money. This board features Mervin's C3 camber profile, so you have a micro reverse between the feet, camber underfoot going down into a flat section. It's going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive of camber underfoot. It's going to feel like a well broken in camber. That flat section is going to give you ease of entry in and out of turns, as well as a more optimal sweet spot for pressing when you're jibbing or buttering. This board is available in 144, 148, 152, 154, 156, 159, 150 wide, 154 wide, 158 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that was overcast skies. You had creamy corduroy if you knew where to look at for it, chopped chunder, a little bit of slush on the lower mountain, some firm spots, basically just a mix of good to awful spring conditions, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. It's a soft twin park board. You're gonna have more play in the tips, stiffer section through the middle, right where that bend in the C3 is, that aids the torsional flex so you can really twist this board. It's playful and it's lively. So here's the thing when it comes to stability. If you're moderately cruising or slow, totally fine. You're gonna think it's great. You crank it up to 11, pray to your favorite deity because dear God, your back is gonna take a hammering. You're gonna feel it through your feet, your knees, your hips, everything. It just resonates all that energy up. You get into rutted out terrain, once again, you going slow or moderately fast, it's gonna bend and flex with them just fine. You take it in going too fast, whoo, bend your knees because that thing's gonna hammer and flex, and all that vibration, chatter, that impact has to go somewhere, and it's coming up underneath into your feet. You're gonna feel it from your feet to your ankles to your knees to your hips to your lower back. And if you're old like me, when your lower back feels it, you're gonna be in a lot of pain and it's gonna suck and you're probably gonna be crippled. Because let's be real, most of you 41-year-olds that are watching this don't ride every day like I do. Is this the snappiest board in this category? No. It's a little soggy in my opinion. But for what it is, are you gonna be able to ollie up onto something? Sure. Hit a side hit and boost. Yeah, it'll get you up in the air. You're not gonna pop to the moon with it. Launch off a roller with a little bit of speed, you're gonna get up in the air. The problem is if fat little Timmy the skier falls down in front of you, you're not gonna ollie over him. Instead, you're basically gonna have to lean back and wally off of him to get up in the air. Now, when it comes to hitting jumps, small to medium are about where you wanna keep it with this thing. It's not gonna handle anything bigger. It just does not have the guts to set it down and ride out. One of the issues that I had with this board was going into the jump and just using the transition to push off and get in the air, the tail would overflex and get a little washy. Now mind you, it was on a 154, 156. Might have been a little better, but I don't think it would have solved the problem. So with that said, you want to load it up when you go off the lip. Now here's the problem. Soft tip. So you're loading up that camber, rolling back, gonna pop off the lip, still gonna be a little bit washy. Like I said, this board feels a little soggy in this respect. So as long as you know that and know what the limitations are, you're not gonna have a problem if you're progressing in the jump line and progressing with popping off rollers and side hits. All right, have you remembered to click like on this video? Good. Are you subscribed? You're not? Come on, click it. Click the bell so you get those notifications too. You know you don't want to miss out on anything we're creating for all you snowboarders of the internet. This is where this board stands out. You got these huge sweet spots in the nose and the tail. You can really press this board, but if you use too much force, it will wash out on you. So if you're a competent rider and you know what you're doing, tone it down a little. If you're just starting out learning how to butter and press, you're gonna have a great time with this board because you're not gonna know what you're doing, so you're not gonna be over forcing it. But with those big sweet spots, you can get up on the nose, pop a 180, swivel around, and it's going to hold as long as you don't try to force it. Same thing with the tail. You can pop, land on the tail, go sideways, bring it back around. Now, when it comes to jibbing with this thing, it's the same thing. If you force it too hard, you're gonna overflex it, it's gonna wash out. So you wanna tone it down. But you got these huge sweet spots in the nose and the tail. It will lock into presses, and it's gonna hold if you don't force it. You force it, well, you're going ass over tea kettle with it. So if you hold it with a mellow press, when you hit the end of the feature, little flick of the ankle, you're gonna snap right out of it. When you go sideways on this thing, it just cradles right around the feature. If you're coming in off the top rope, you're probably gonna clap out. But if you're being a little more mellow with it, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna cradle right around that feature and allow you to get to the end in your slide. This board is very easy to engage on edge. You have a lot of torsional flex, so ankle steering is your best friend with this board, not trying to drive it out at the nose and guide it. Short, tight, quick carves and medium mellow carves work with this. It's very easy to do a setup turn. It's very easy to get it on edge and just sort of swoop from one side of the run back to the other. Now, when you go for a deep, hard, aggressive charging carve, you got limitations, all right? You're gonna overpower the board from the middle of that C3, right where that dip is, back through the tail. You gotta tone it down, because if you come in with full force, it washes out, it's gonna kick you out of that carve. Now, if you're coming in hot from a medium turn and you really want to crank it over, yeah, you're probably going to be fine if you know the limitations. As long as you understand what you can and can't do with this board, you can do a deep, hard, aggressive carve from time to time. You're not going to do it all the time. I know some of you are going to be like, I'm going to do it all the time. Don't be that guy. You know who you are. It's a park board. It's a soft flexing twin board. Does have magnet traction, so on firmer snow, it is going to be easier to get it to grip and engage on edge. But like I said, there's limitations. Once you learn them, you're gonna have a great time. Rider in mind. So who is this board for? It's for someone that's just entering the park, that wants a do-it-all board that they can progress with, that won't hold them back, but isn't going to kill them and be super assertive. All right, want to support us a little bit further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. This is actually a really fun board for what it is. It's a little too soft in the tips for me personally. I just kept over flexing it. Once I toned it down, it worked exactly how I wanted. Like I said, this is gonna be a good board for someone getting into the park that's starting to progress, that wants a deck that they can work with that won't hold them back. If that's you, it's gonna be great. If you know what you're doing, you might wanna bump up to something a little bit beefier. Comparable boards: the Bataleon Disaster, the Salomon Sleepwalker, the K2 Geometric. Binding recommendations: the bent metal joint, the Ride C6, the Rome Vice. This has been my review of the GNU C Money. If this doesn't tickle your fancy, why don't you go watch one of the other videos in our vast library of reviews, because I'm sure we can find a deck for you.